What's going on, everyone? This is Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. It's March 11th, 2021. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content, and I will continue to make it for you. Today, we're going to be talking about the price action in the indices. We'll go under the hood and check out our sectors and style factors. We'll talk about some of my trades for the day, and then we'll wrap up with some options order flow. But before we jump in, quick risk disclaimer. Nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan, your own risk parameters. And last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, let's jump in here. So another really positive day of price action. We had the S&P 500 up 1.01%. We had the NASDAQ QQQ up 2.3%. We had the IWM small caps up 2.2%, and we had the Dow Jones up 0.62%. If we look at our S&P 500, we have been climbing a wall of worry the past few days, and you can see that we traded all the way up to a new all-time high, and we came off a bit, throughout the day, but we ended up trading, right at this monthly value area high right here, and that's where we closed. So overall, I would say this, was still an awesome day. We had a lot of sectors participating today that have gotten no bids over the past few weeks. So, overall, I think this was some pretty strong price action. If we take a look at our Qs, you can see for tech is still in an intermediate term downtrend, but it's looking a lot more promising here. We actually traded within this monthly value area, and you can see we hit some resistance at these key moving averages right here. We have the 20-day and the 50-day, but that's all right. I wouldn't expect them to just blow right through. So we'll have to see. If we can get a sideways consolidation and start working our way into this monthly value area, that would be very positive for the Qs. We did, however, break through the top of this weekly value area on the Qs. So things are just looking a lot more constructive. The trend is starting to pick up really in all of these headline indices. And then one that is doing really well, this one, there can't really be any doubters at this point. So the small caps, clean breakout, closed right on the highs. And you can see, this one's trading above this monthly value area, and this is day one of the breakout. So IWM, the small caps, looking very healthy here. And we have the Dow Jones. Dow Jones, funny enough saying this, but the Dow Jones is actually pretty extended from its moving averages. We hit this level of 326.97, and we did get a little bit of selling in the Dow Jones today. We pull up our heat map. We'll pull this up. Yeah, you can see, today, a lot of these areas of the market that have gone no bid, actually got some love today in the market. For several weeks, it was like value over growth, value over growth. Everybody was saying it, including myself. And at a certain point, it was like, a lot of these value stocks are pretty well bid, and a lot of the growth was left for dead. So you can see, we had Google up 3.16%. Tesla, I still have my call spread on, up 4.72%. PayPal, really nice recovery day as well. And then you can see some of the areas where there was profit taking. We had some profit taking in energy, utilities, industrials, and the banks. So yeah, it looks like, just a little bit of give and take between these high growth areas and some of these more recovery trades and sectors. So if we pull up our sector scorecard, you will see that the top-ranked sectors in terms of momentum are still energy, retail, and regional banks. Because you can see they've had really strong weekly and monthly performances. But today, the real action was in a lot of these less loved areas of the market. So you can see the ARK ETF up 6.18%, solar energy up almost 10% in a single day. KWEB, the Chinese Internet ETF, up 6.78%. See a lot of these areas that were super unloved going no bid over the past couple weeks. Those bids ended up coming back into the market and supported those areas. If we look at our style factors, you're going to see a similar theme here. The momentum style factor up 3.35%. You can see this one has had an ugly monthly performance, but yeah, very strong bounce here. You can see high beta still did okay, up close to 1%. Cyclicals still did okay, up 1.2%. The only areas that lagged were high div, low vol, which in my opinion, that's a good thing because that's a more defensive style factor. And then international value was also down 0.4%. So now we can take a quick look at some of my trades for the day. And so you'll see I closed out of my runner of XPEL for $52.54. I had paid $51.93. I took two other targets, a bit higher on this one. So this one ended up being a nice trade. This one ended up running throughout the rest of the day though. So this is going to happen, when you take your targets and you're managing your risk. Every once in a while you get one that runs without you. So this one had a really strong day here, traded all the way up to 63. And this is one where, this is day one of a breakout from a pretty long base. I'll be looking at this one for the future, to see if there's more opportunities for entries in this name. But this one overall was a pretty good trade, nonetheless. And if we take a look at what else I did, I closed out my DraftKings. I had taken one target at 71.68. I took another target at 70.70, and I had paid $64.88. DraftKings, looking pretty solid, and even closed, really well. So you can see we closed, pretty close to the highs here. So I'll have to see if this one can sort of base out a little bit. I would definitely look for a re-entry in this one, or if we get some sort of dip here. And then what else do we have? So yeah, took some profits there. I took some profits in Expedia as well. I've been in Expedia. This is a name I've been trading for like a couple months. But this latest entry, I got in at 158.10, and I closed out half of it for 174.87. So this one, it's been a nice winner for me. And for me, it's really like how greedy, do you want to be with some of these trades and some of these reopening themes. So like you can see here when I pull up the weekly, take a look at this. So the prior all-time high was about like $160, and you can see that we're already trading, well beyond the prior all-time highs before COVID. You can see we're starting to get a little bit extended here. So I was like, I'll take half of it off. Maybe we'll get some sort of dip, and maybe we'll re-add that piece. I just wanted to take some profits there for prudence. And then this was a cool trade. So I got long Viot, and this one is a high flyer, fast moving stock. I took this one for $12.80. If you take a look at Viot. Okay, this is the weekly chart. Oh my gosh. This thing looks crazy. So if we look at the daily, he ended up closing at 13.29. This is one of those stocks where once it gets moving, it can really make some wild moves. So who knows? Maybe it gets this upper Bollinger Band at about $15, and I can take a target there. But one of the main reasons why I wanted to enter a stock like Viot was because if you take a look here, I noticed this small cap growth ETF cleared a pretty big milestone. So everyone knows like, oh my gosh, growth is out, value's in. We actually just cleared the 20-day and the 50-day in this small cap growth ETF. I know for a lot of algorithmic strategies, trend following strategies, all those, being under those key moving averages is essentially like a red light. It's like, all right, we're not going to touch those. Then once it flips above, green light. So this one, looks really interesting, and I could see if we get some follow through in this, just sector ETF, I could see some of these individual names really having some powerful moves. So I was like, let me add Viot, just in case we do get that powerful, small cap growth move. I can have something to take advantage of it. Another one that I did, I doubled my size in apps, in Digital Turbine. So I took some shares for $73.50 a couple weeks ago, and I like this price action in apps. So I doubled my position at 84.68. And if you take a look here, apps. Wow, this one I didn't even realize. Yeah, it closed right on the highs. Yeah, so looking good for apps. So this is like one of my favorite names. I've been trading this one for a while now as well. And this one, yeah, it had the power today, closed above the 20-day. And, I could definitely see us at the very least testing this monthly value area high here at around $89.52. So I was like, you know what, I'm grossing up in apps. I think if the market makes another leg higher, I could see apps, being one of the stocks that's leading us. So yeah, doubled up on that position. Then what else do we have? I traded some options as well. MSOS, I took this one off for $570. I'd paid $750. And I have here on a little note, not showing relative strength. We'd rather re-enter if it can clear the key moving averages. MSOS, this was at 10.15. It did end up shaping up a bit throughout the day. So this one, we'll have to see if some life comes back into these cannabis names. I would not mind re-entering this thing if it can clear these moving averages. So we'll have to see. Yeah, cannabis has kind of been lagging in a way that I don't really like. But even this YOLO ETF actually looks pretty good here. What's funny, the YOLO ETF has the Canadian names. The Canadian names, even though the fundamentals are worse, they actually trade better than the US names. And I think it's because a lot of the US names are still over the counter. They have the 4-letter tickers, whereas the Canadian names, they're listed on all the popular exchanges now. I think there's a lot of managers that literally just can't buy those US names. So took that one off. I got long some clean energy calls that expire in January of 2022. I picked up the 25 strikes for $450. You'll see here. Clean energy is a theme that, I would think is going to do pretty well under this Biden administration. This one really got hammered over the past couple of weeks. Now it's finally showing some signs of life. So if you look at some of the top clean energy names, Plug closed on the highs, Enphase closed close to the highs, Blink Charging closed on the highs. So a lot of these clean energy names, we're starting to see the life come back into them. So I was like, let me just pick up the sector ETF. I'll play it that way. I took some JPM calls with the 160 strike for May. And JPM, I do like this pattern that it's in here. We'll have to see though. So JPM didn't hold the gains for today, but you can see it's been consolidating sideways and it has this, like upward drift going on. So as long as it stays above this 5-day EMA, I feel pretty comfortable with it. Because there's going to be days where like today growth was super strong. What happens if tomorrow value is a little bit stronger? I want to make sure that I have representation in both areas. I took an LVS diagonal call spread. This one as well, the value names didn't have as much follow through, but this one consolidating sideways for a good couple weeks now. Consolidating sideways for a couple weeks. It's maintaining above that 20-day. See, I got long a diagonal call spread there. And then I took a target on my Micron call calendar spread. I'd entered this one for $3.81, and I took a third of the position off for $4.51. And this, I took it off, about midday. I was like, okay, the market, feels pretty juiced right now. Let me at least, take some targets in some of these things. I was able to get out, towards the high of the day, which is good. I still really like this pattern in Micron. So if we get any sort of dip, I could very easily just add that target back on the books. All right, so let's take a quick look. We'll check out some options order flow for today. And And you can see here we had a ton of Micron orders, which is awesome. So yeah, it's always a good thing when you're already positioned in something and then you just start seeing like a ton of calls coming down. So these, they don't look too aggressive. Looks like they're more just, trying to get some exposure. You can see they bought the 25 strikes, which is deep in the money for June. But yeah, there are a bunch of players coming into Micron throughout the day. In the morning, we did have some players trying to fade this IWM move. We'll have to see. As of right now, those don't look like the best executions, but time will tell. We had some players fading AMD. And AMD, it's just showing a lot of relative weakness compared to the other semis names. So yeah, I don't know if it's like they're bearish on semis or maybe they're just bearish on AMD. Yeah, this name has really been struggling for quite some time. Really just moving sideways. And then we have, of course, some GameStop YOLOers. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, they picked up $2.3 million in GameStop. Look at this. Yeah, and GameStop is just doing its GameStop thing. This one, I don't even want to touch GameStop at this point. It's tough to tell if this thing is going to go to like $50 or if it's going to go to like $1,000. But yeah, those call buyers are still coming in. So that being said, that's our options order flow for today, and that is our market recap video. I will see you all tomorrow.